Hello everyone and welcome to a new edition of Africa Today. Always Egypt is in the heart of Africa, and the soft diplomacy of Egypt and the intelligent foreign policy of Egypt is really reaching to the heart of Africa. Today we are going to focus on the very significant official visit of the Angolan President João Lourenço to Cairo for 3 days, in which he held talks and important talks with President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi. The talks, of course, tackled the bilateral ties and how to improve and strengthen the bilateral ties in trade, in economy, in technology, and of course Egypt affirmed and concerning the full support to Angola in key sectors like technology, agriculture, infrastructure, many media, security, and also fighting corruption. So we talk here concerning this visit. We're going to analyze the importance and the significance of this visit concerning the timing, which is so critical for not only the continent but for the whole world actually. So we're going to talk on the bilateral sector or the bilateral level, and also on the continental level, how this will support such high profile bilateral meetings, support also the continental integration. This is what we're going to focus on our today's edition of Africa Today. So stay with us with this report.
President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi and his Angolan counterpart João Lourenço have called for avoiding unilateral measures that could lead to disputes among African states. The two leaders met on Tuesday at Cairo's Ittihadiyya Palace at the start of the Angolan president's 3-day visit to Egypt to strengthen bilateral ties and discuss key African issues. According to a joint statement issued by the presidency, both leaders addressed the issue of water security and cooperation over international rivers, especially amid growing water scarcity. Additionally, they stressed the need to manage transboundary water resources in line with international law, ensuring mutual benefits while upholding the principle of no harm. As current members of the African Union Peace and Security Council, el-Sisi and Lourenço exchanged views on pressing peace and security issues in Africa. Lourenço reaffirmed Angola's firm commitment under its current chairmanship of the AU to supporting sustainable development, peace and stability through the implementation of the Agenda 2063, the Africa We Want, and the Silencing the Guns initiative. El-Sisi and Lourenço voiced deep concern over the ongoing fighting in Sudan and its humanitarian repercussions. They called for an immediate end to hostilities and the launch of an inclusive national dialogue that safeguards Sudan's unity and sovereignty while easing the suffering of its people. They also expressed support for regional and international efforts aimed at resolving the Sudanese crisis, highlighting the AU's central role in mediation and conflict resolution. The statement added that both leaders further rejected any attempts to establish a parallel government in Sudan. Furthermore, they underscored the need for dialogue and consensus building while calling for full adherence to South Sudan's 2018 peace deal, the revitalized agreement on the resolution of the conflict. Regarding Somalia, the two presidents reaffirmed their support for the country's unity, stability, and security. They also strongly condemned the surge in terrorist activities, including the recent brutal assassination attempt targeting the Somali president. As for the situation in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo, both leaders reiterated their condemnation of all forms of violence that threaten peace and stability. Meanwhile, el-Sisi and Lourenço also expressed deep concern about the worsening humanitarian crisis in the Gaza Strip. They reiterated the need for a permanent ceasefire, the unimpeded delivery of humanitarian aid to Palestinians, and voiced support for a plan for recovery and reconstruction. For his part, President Lorenzo praised Egypt's constructive role and strategic vision in the efforts to reconstruct Gaza, a nation aimed at achieving peace and security under the United Nations resolutions and the two-state solution.
Yes, welcome back again, dear viewers. And to shed more light on this, we are glad to be joined over the phone by His Excellency Dr. Gamal Bayoumi, former Assistant Foreign Minister. Dr. Gamal, Your Excellency, so glad to be with us.
It's my pleasure. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Your Excellency, when we talk about the so strong ties and bilateral ties between Egypt and Angola, of course, in terms of signing many agreements and many members of understanding in various and key sectors like security, information technology, media, fighting corruption, terrorism, also renewable energy, diplomacy, special, of course, as you are joining us, development and the state institutions. So how do you weigh the two states' bilateral strong ties?
This is an old history because, you know, Egypt is very well represented in Africa. And to those who are questioning this matter, I just put on my Facebook a picture of me at the Faculty of War with 45 African generals. They come very often to Egypt to exchange views, to learn about our military organization. In the Diplomatic Institute, we meet them always.
Yeah.
But as of
it's a key sector, as I mentioned, Your Excellency, yes, for the cooperation between the two countries. Yes. Diplomacy, yes.
As of Mozambique, of course, we started this story when they were occupied by the Portuguese. And during the Nasser's time, we helped them to have their independence. Then we started a serious relations. Now they are very active member in the African Union. Egypt, of course, is a leading force in this African Union. And the exchange of trade and this and that is very important. They, after all, a very friendly country. They vote with us in all our cases, especially now with Palestine and Gaza. Of course, Africa, all the African people are behind Gaza. And Mozambique, of course, it is a different story. And we are well represented and we are well receiving them here. And really, this is a good example of our very active presidential diplomacy. We used to have the ambassadorial diplomacy, the ministerial diplomacy. Now, thanks to our President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, he is very active concerning going everywhere in the world, from far east in Tokyo to far west in Paris to the north in New York to the south.
He's really widening our circles of the foreign policy.
Yes.
Yep, especially
very active foreign policy, and I'm proud of this. As an old diplomat, I'm only 66 years in Egyptian diplomacy, and I am following this with all carefulness. And really, we are very active. We are everywhere, alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
So this, of course, on the economic side is very good. Yep. We are active member in the African Union Free Trade Area. Now it is in force. This means a market of 1,200 million inhabitants. We are active within the Arabs also and with Europe. So this is a sort of very attractive way to bring investors to our country, because this is not a market of 100 million inhabitants. Yes, of course, the local market is 100 million inhabitants, but we are open to other countries exceeding 2,000 million inhabitants, and we are exempted of any taxes or custom duties. This is a very good opportunity for any investor to come and to think to invest in Egypt. As of Mozambique also, this is not a rich country. They are middle-sized in number of inhabitants, 31 million, but they are not a rich country. They are a very poor country. So we are helping them with two organizations, Egyptian organizations, the Egyptian Fund for Cooperation in Africa, and now we have the Agency for Investment in Africa, and we are calling on our partners from all over the world to come with us, using Africa with its possibilities, with the Egyptian experience, which is very good, and of course the finance, whether it is coming from Japan or China or European Union. And with this we can help, of course, Mozambique in order to establish new projects with the help of the Egyptian experience. They are very rich in the field of forestry, in the field of fishery, fertilizer, and the coal industry also. All of these are opportunities.
They are very rich also in gold, diamond, and oil.
Yes. Investment there.
Yes. That was my next question to Your Excellency. And how can Egypt get more benefit from the, on the trade level, from the how to increase the trade volume between Egypt and Angola, especially when we say that the trade volume have been grown over 60% in 1 year. So what promising sector is your point of view, more than the memos of understanding that have been signed?
Yes, as a matter of fact, Africa is not Africa in general, it's not in a good position. The money flow from Africa to Europe and the developed countries is much more than what Africa is receiving, because we import much more than we export. Yep. We pay our debts and have. So the idea here is, if you want to trade with Africa, we exhausted all the possibilities. Now we have to think about investment in Africa.
Yes.
Because if you are in Africa, you cannot buy their wood.
And this is what Egypt had already done. We started to be in Africa.
By European companies. But if you want a very cheap wood and very efficient quality, you have to go there to cut the wood for yourself with a small investment. Then you get the deal. Many opportunities I have seen in Africa. Then we can go ahead with all of this.
Yes, and this is actually what Egypt had done many years ago to exist really physically in the African countries through many projects, infrastructural projects, bridges, roads, dams, through building factories, through building or establishing banks, and etc. So, Your Excellency, Angola is also positioning itself as a regional logistics, energy hub. So this is through the Lobito corridor. How could Egypt just get benefit out of this, your point of view?
Egypt is leading a huge plan for energy in general. And now we have the electricity also. We are connecting our net from Baghdad in the far east up to Casablanca in the far west, down to Sudan, and it will be connected to Congo and all these countries with the water dams where it produces electricity. Also, we are developing our experience in the oil discovery and the gas discovery, and we became, and we shall be very soon, main exporter to Europe with all these opportunities. So this is something which whether Angola or any other country and Mozambique can take care and benefit from it. So if we invest in the energy sector also, it will come back with all our investment with a good result.
Yes, and of course there is such bilateral high-profile meetings. They are so beneficial and heading to the to all the goods and interest for the whole continent and the continental integration, of course, in particular, because Angola now is chairing the African Union, and of course the two countries are working together to to silence the violence over there and the guns, as they said, to try to restore peace and stability once again in the continent, of course, in Somalia, in Sudan, Horn of Africa, in many other African countries. Your Excellency, Dr. Gamal Bayoumi, former Assistant Foreign Minister, many thanks for being with us. Thank you. And also within the press conference with the Angolan President, João Lourenço, it had been signed many memos of understanding in various fields, such as the communications, information technology, also housing and infrastructure.
President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi on Tuesday reaffirmed Egypt's readiness to fully support Angola in critical sectors, including police, defense, health, tourism, media, agriculture, renewable energy, anti-corruption, and diplomacy. Sisi made the remarks during a meeting in Cairo with Angolan President João Lourenço, who also serves as the current chairperson of the African Union. The two leaders met at the Ittihadiyya Palace, followed by expanded talks between their delegations. In a joint press conference, Sisi announced the signing of several memoranda of understanding in communication, information technology, housing, and infrastructure as part of efforts to deepen cooperation. He emphasized the importance of advancing political, economic, and investment ties, building on the historical relationship between the two countries dating back to Egypt's support for Angola's liberation movement in the 1960s. Cairo hosted the People's Movement for the Liberation of Angola first regional office in 1965, and Angola opened its embassy in Egypt in 1976. Sisi said a celebration will be held in November to mark 50 years of diplomatic relations. The two sides also discussed opportunities under the Lobito Corridor, a strategic development initiative seen as a key platform for collaboration in mining, energy, and infrastructure. Talks extended to regional and international issues, including the Horn of Africa, Sudan, Gaza, water scarcity, climate change, and the conflict in the Eastern Democratic Republic of the Congo, where El-Sisi praised Lourenço's mediation efforts. Both leaders stressed the need for unified African positions on global challenges and stronger representation for Africa in international bodies, particularly in efforts to reform the UN Security Council. They also agreed on the urgency of accelerating institutional reform within the AU. El-Sisi concluded his speech that they agreed to continue coordinating and consulting together between Cairo and Luanda in various regional and international forums.
And of course, such bilateral, important, high-profile meetings between Cairo and Luanda are really essential for the integration of the continent and also for silencing the guns in Africa, also combating the climate change and many other issues of the African continent. By this, we come, ladies and gentlemen, to the end of our today's edition of Africa Today. Many thanks for watching. And myself, Hanan Al-Khoury. Thank you.